I have been putting off filming this video for a long time, ever since I started the channel, honestly, but their media day is tomorrow. Their first preseason game is in like a week and a half, so I think it's finally time to talk about my favorite team in the NBA, the LA Lakers. It has been a tough 12 months as a Lakers fan. Not gonna lie, it has been rough ever since they made the Russell Westbrook trade, and I'll go out there and say it wasn't the right move. They shouldn't have traded for Russ. They should have traded Kuzma for Buddy Hield, kept Caruso, done a lot of things differently that offseason. They did not put enough priority on their defense, but that season I just want to forget about it, because right now, the Lakers have been in the media more than probably any other mediocre team has ever been in the media for an entire offseason. It's not just for like 1 week over a rumor, like literally the entire offseason, they've been like the most talked about team in the media. And that is because there's been a lot of rumors about a Russell Westbrook trade. And it's because currently the Lakers cannot compete with Russell Westbrook on the roster. First, it looked like it was going to be a Kyrie trade. That fell through. Then now there was a Utah trade for Bogdanovic. That's fallen through, and Conley, maybe that's still on the table, but there's one trade that has been talked about the entire time and is still on the table, and according to Shams, the Lakers were offered it again a couple days ago, and that is Russell Westbrook and our 2 remaining future first-round picks in 2027 and 2029 for Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. And I don't know what to think about that trade, because as I talked about in my recent video where I was talking about how stacked the Eastern Conference is, the NBA is so talented right now. The state of the NBA is such high quality. Like, there are so many teams that could easily be competing for a title next year. In the West, you've got like Dallas, Denver, Golden State, Phoenix. They're all competing for a title. Plus, you've got teams like Minnesota, Memphis. Oh, and the Clippers, as well. The Memphis, Minnesota, who are going to be good. New Orleans, who's going to be good. The East, you got Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, Brooklyn. They're all wanting to compete again next year. You've got teams like Cleveland and Toronto who are going to be good. There are so many good teams, and what it means is that these teams that are just below that level, like the Lakers, who in years gone past would be 1 trade away from being a title contender or competing, they're now like 2 or 3 moves away because the teams above them are so talented. The Lakers are now 1 move away from being like a 6 seed. And that's the crazy part about it. So, as I've said, I've gone on the record and said, I think a lot of teams should consider tanking next season that haven't. Teams like Washington, teams like New York, Charlotte, in the West, teams like Sacramento, maybe even Portland, should maybe consider taking a couple years, trying to get some good draft picks. And normally I'd say the same for the Lakers, but there's 2 things that differentiate the Lakers from other teams, and they're just bad. It just is why the Lakers are in such a mess at the moment. Number 1 is that we don't have any of our picks going forward. They're all going to New Orleans. We don't have a first round pick that is our own until 2027. We've got a couple swap worse, but considering I think New Orleans are going to be pretty good for the next 4 or 5 years, they don't look like much. They're going to be like probably in the 20s. So we don't have any picks we can trade, and like we don't have picks going forward. So it's not really worth tanking because like we're not going to get our picks. And 2, we have a ticking clock in LeBron, who, say what you like, whether you think he's Le Fraud, Le Goat, Le Mickey Mouse Ring, whatever you want to call him, whatever you want to put there. But the truth is, he's a great player. He's a top 2 or 3 player of all time. And 3 years ago now, he led the Lakers to a title. And he's still, when healthy, a top 5 to 10 player in the NBA. So, but the thing is, he's like 39 or 38. And do you really want to wait another year to be competing with LeBron? So that's what the Lakers have. They've got this issue because they've got like 2 first-round picks that they can trade. They're the only 2 first-round picks the Lakers are allowed to trade. If they traded them, we couldn't trade another first-round pick for 2 years until we could trade the 2031 pick. And because of that, there is issues where what do we want to do? Because if we trade those picks, we're sort of locked into this roster, and this is our last hurrah before just a bad few years for the organization. But if we win a title, it's all worth it. But the question the Lakers have to ask themselves is that, what do they value more? Going all in this year with that trade of Westbrook and those 2 first-round picks for Hield and Turner, or waiting a year, letting the Westbrook contract expire, the Nunn, the Walker contracts expire. Basically, everyone's off the roster but LeBron and Davis. And because of that, we'd have like somewhere around $28 to $30 million in cap space and those 2 first-round picks still. So the Lakers have to decide, what would they rather? Would they rather take those picks, use those picks this year to trade for Hield and Turner, or save them and go into next offseason with cap space and those 2 picks? What do they think they can, which one helps them build a better roster around LeBron and AD? And I honestly don't know. I think Hield and Turner do, because if you get Hield and Turner, it's not a great roster, and I'm not saying it's a favorite, but it will make the playoffs. If you're running Beverly, Hield, LeBron, Davis, Turner, Schroeder, Walker, none if he's still there, Reeves, Toscano Anderson, Bryant, I think that team still makes the playoffs in the Western Conference. I think that makes the 6th seed, I think. And then that's obviously all of this is relying on a healthy LeBron and Davis. Okay, if LeBron or Davis aren't healthy, it's gone. But that's the same for both years. So do you go for that, or do you play with Westbrook for a season, then go into the next offseason with like $30 million in cap, and those 2 picks, and try and build a better roster then? And you might think, oh yeah, take the cap space. Well, $30 million isn't that much in the NBA to build a proper roster. Like, Hield and Turner are making far more than that. Okay, so we couldn't get 2 players as good as Hield and Turner with that salary. What you're hoping for, really, I think the one goal they could have for next offseason is that they could get Kyrie Irving to agree to like a massive pay cut to come and play with LeBron and Davis. Then you run Kyrie, LeBron, Davis, and whatever minimum guys you can use to build out that roster. So do they think they can do that? In which case, maybe you try, maybe you go for it. But like, if you're planning on building this team like you did the 2020 team, where you've got just like role players around LeBron and Davis, I think you have to go the Hield and Turner trade, because Hield and Turner, they fit LeBron and Davis what they need. It's a floor spacing defensive big next to Davis who can play the 5, to guard the other team's best big man, let Davis take some time off on defense, because even though Davis is one of the best defenders in the NBA, he's been injured for 2 years. You don't want him having to bang with Jokic or Valanciunas or DeAndre Ayton or these guys like night in, night out. You want him to be able to give those responsibilities to the big man, and you need a big man that can space the floor so Davis doesn't have to be doing it, because as we've seen, his 3-point shot has just gone out the window the last couple of seasons. And then Hield is a great shooter, and that's what LeBron thrives with, is when he has good shooters. He thrived next to guys like Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith. He makes these guys better. Ray Allen, they work when they play with LeBron, so Buddy Hield would be no different. But if you think you can get Kyrie, maybe you wait, because then you've also got picks. You can maybe combine those. Maybe you can like extend someone to like $4 or $5 million once you've signed Kyrie, and with that you can then like trade that contract and the picks to try and get someone. But I don't know if you can do that. It's going to be difficult, but maybe if you think you can get Kyrie and then build a roster similar to what you did this year with those single year deals, you do that. But if you don't, I think you have to make that Hield and Turner trade. But the other thing as well is, like, we're so close to the start of the season. The Lakers have had so much turmoil already. Is it worth it? Or is it worth one last mixing it up one more time, messing everything around one last time, and then taking a team with Hield and Turner into the season? If that trade's on the table, I think you have to make it, because that $30 million, you're not going to be able to get like a star and a heap of players. Like, you're going to be able to get like one role player for like $17, $18 million, and then like some decent players. But like, it's going to be for context, is like, maybe you can get a guy like Lou Dort level. He was like $18 million a year over 5 years, I think, something around that, $16 million maybe. And then you get like some $5 million guys who are like DeLon Wright level. Like, I'm not saying those guys are available next year. I'm saying like those are the sort of contracts that are being given out at the moment. Tyus Jones got $10 million. McGee got like $9 million. So those guys, like, you get like 3 of them at the most. And that's not talking about like top role players. Caldwell Pope just got $15 million a year. Like, these guys are expensive now. So I don't know how good of a roster you can build with $30 million. The only reason you do wait for next year is if you do think there's any chance you can get Kyrie. Because Kyrie, LeBron, Davis, that can compete. But I don't know. Do you want to trade those first round picks? Like, I don't think the Lakers really care about the future at the moment. I think you've got LeBron, you've got this team. We don't have any way of building a better team in the next 5 years because we don't have our draft picks. I think we have to go in all in at the moment. And I think if you can make the Hield and Turner trade, you do it. If not, you try and be competitive this year and try and build back a bit of that prestige that the Lakers used to have that would make guys sign for less than they were worth to play with in LA. Right now, it's like you have to pay more to get them to come to this awful culture. You need to get rid of that. You need to find a way of like being competitive enough that players like, hey, if I sign for a bit less, I can compete for a title next year with LeBron and Davis. Because at the moment, they're like, do I really want to go to the Lakers? I'd rather like either go make my money in Orlando or go compete for a title in Denver. Because like I have a way better shot and it's a way better place, and I'm not going to have my name thrown in trade rumors every second. But who knows? Can Russ play his role? That's been the other issue. People are talking about, can Russell Westbrook agree to his role? I think it is possible. I think it's unlikely. Like, there's two options. Like, Russ could come out like a 2020 Dwight Howard, who just fully embraced being a backup center and just going in there being a bruiser, being a good defender, being a rebounder, being an offensive rebounder. Russ could go in and say, hey, I'm just going to be a bulldog on defense. I'm going to crush the boards. I'm going to run in transition, and then I'm just going to set screens and cut on offense. I'm going to be a playmaker out of the pick and roll, I'm going to be a playmaking roll man. I'm going to do all these things. Or it could be like last year, Russ, and say, hey, no, I'm still MVP, Russell Westbrook, and I want to have the ball in my hands half the time, and I'm not going to learn how to shoot, and I'm just going to be like a traffic cone out there on defense. Or maybe it's somewhere in between. I think most likely it's somewhere in between, honestly. I don't think he's going to be that bad. I think he will play defense at least. And I think he will he'll play a bit of defense for like the first 20 games of the season. And I think he'll be better on offense. He will set more screens. They will use him more like that. He will buy in. But if he could have like a Dwight level mentality switch, I think the Lakers have a chance of being decent with him next year. Not competing by any chance, but building back a bit of the prestige. That's the only real goal you can have if you keep Westbrook this year. But it's going to be interesting. Can LeBron and Davis stay healthy? Can Westbrook change it around? Do the Lakers make a trade for Hield and Turner? I'm still, as I said, if I had to pick, I think you make that trade because I think that's the best team you're going to be able to put around LeBron in the next 2 years. But I don't really know, man. This could be a really bad season. This could be a decent season. This could be anywhere in between. As a Lakers fan, I just don't know what to expect. Alright, that's going to do it for me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Comment below your thoughts about the Lakers. What do you think they do? Should they make the trade? Hit me up on those social media links below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.